Welcome back to another Wisdom Wednesday discussion. As always, I am your guide, Science Inspire, generating, uplifting, inspiring, developing, and empowering you to live inspired every day, forever, because that's life. And today, we talk about living in balance, walking the middle path. This is week 3 of our September series. And this is your first time here, this is your first time listening. We have a theme for each month. And each week we go through that overall theme so that we can begin to understand what it truly means when we're talking about living inspired every day forever and how to never stop prospering by giving the required effort daily. We talked about boundaries and the importance of establishing and setting boundaries. Now we're talking about living in balance by walking that middle path. So what is the middle path? We hear this a lot. When people are talking about life, they talk about the journey, they talk about being balanced. Here we're going to really dive into that because we want to make sure that we understand what it truly is. Not to mention me being a Libra. I think I know a little bit about balance. These scales are always tipping one way or the other. So let's get into it. As always, we start with an affirmation by affirming ourselves. So today our affirmation is I no longer choose extremes. I no longer choose extremes. I choose alignment. And the intention is to restore balance through heart and mind alignment, reclaiming peace without chasing perfection. We don't want to chase, right? We hear a lot of times, chase your dreams. You got to chase. You know what happens when you chase something? If you envision yourself chasing something, you behind it. You're trying to catch up. When do you ever have to chase if it's meant for you? You chase it probably because it's too far ahead. Chase it because you're running behind. We're not chasing, okay? We don't have to chase what's ours. If it's my dream, I ain't got to chase it. And so this is partially what we're pushing towards. So the outcome for this discussion, by the end of this discussion, you will be able to recognize where imbalance, too much logic, or too much emotion has disrupted your alignment. You will also understand balance as a sacred practice, not as a fixed state. We think of the scales being balanced like this. It's not a fixed state. It's a practice. It's constant. It's in motion. And lastly, you'll be able to identify one practical shift, right, that integrates both your logic and your love this week. And when we talk about love and you hear emotions, those two things are going to somewhat be synonymous, right? So when we're talking about logic and emotion, a lot of times our emotion affects our love. And so when we're talking about putting logic and love together, we're marrying these two. We're understanding how to utilize them in life. Too many times we either choose one or the other. That's not balance, okay? When you see a scale, you put something on one side, this is balance, okay? We think that the scale being even is balance. If nothing is on the scale, then it sits like this. The moment you put a weight on it, it tips to one side or the other to balance that out. If one weighs more, if the other weighs more. That is what balance is. It's constantly doing this in the motion of our life, not using the emotions to knock us off, but using the emotion and the logic to constantly balance and weigh things out. So that brings us into the opening as we talk about moving from those extremes to that alignment, right? Moving from those extreme states all the way down or all the way up. We don't want to be an extremist. Okay? We don't want to either be super happy all the time or super sad all the time. We want to know how to balance in between those. So the guiding quote that we have that we'll start with comes from one of our favorite. And it says, in all things, balance. Lao Tzu. So Lao Tzu tells us, in all things, balance. And one thing that I find interesting on my search as I went around the world, continue to go around the world through various different, what do I want to call them? Texts. I'll just call them texts. That are through sacred texts. It doesn't matter if it's from this group or that group. I don't discriminate, because one thing that we understand is these things align. They're not separate. They're not separate. We may separate them through our misunderstanding, but they all speak to the same thing. And Lao Tzu says something that we continuously hear and see everywhere we look. All things. This is why I say we discriminate, because we're imbalanced. So we try to pick and choose what we want. That's not balance. Because it says in all things, not in some things, not in big things, not small things, not in rich things and not poor things. In all things, balance. It's not just telling us like what is possible. Like, yeah, you can be balanced. No. All things should balance. And if they don't, then that's the issue, is that it's not balanced. Not that you are incapable of doing it, you're not balanced. And so our opening prompts, the questions that guide us through this discussion, we start with these, and by the end of our discussion, we should have answered at least one or two of them, because then we have at the end the challenges and the questions that guide us after the discussion. So our opening prompts, or our guided prompts, the first one is, where are you overgiving to one part of your life while starving another? You overgiving over here and you taking from over there. Number two is, where in your life have you leaned too heavily on logic, ignoring the voice of love? So you constantly want to be logical about things, but then you forget, well, where's the love in these things? Where's the love that I'm giving? Because everything isn't about logic, and everything isn't about love. We're using one more than the other, taking away from one, giving to another. When you put them together, the mind and the heart, they're in your body and they work together. Yet for some reason, on the outside, when we want to be in society, we remove one or the other. We either turn off the heart and try to think with the mind, or we turn off the mind and try to move with the heart. Turn off your heart and your body and see what happens. Take your mind out and see what happens. Maybe we'll understand what is happening in our life using one instead of both. Lastly, where have emotions overruled wisdom? Where have your emotions overruled your wisdom, leaving you unguarded? And that's happened to me a lot. It used to happen too often, okay? Where my emotions would overrule my wisdom. I'm thinking something, I'm feeling it, but then I'm so emotional, it's like, nah, I'm gonna go against that. And now I'm left out in the open, unprotected, unguarded, because my emotions push me out there. Emotions make you cry sometimes. Emotions make you sad. But emotions can also be used to empower us when we are using them and they're not using us. Okay. So the life lens, how we want to look at this as we live inspired every day forever, is to understand that living inspired every day forever means that we are walking the middle path. That we're constantly moving from up to down so we can get to the middle. Okay, like a plane has takeoff, and then it goes way to 10,000 feet, and then it levels off, and it flies like this. We want it to be the same thing. All right. Sometimes we may start low, we get high, but then we want to find that balance. And so living inspired every day means that we are walking that middle path. We're not swinging between these extremes all the time. We're either always sad and or always happy. We're able to mix and balance both a steady rhythm in our life, putting these our heart and our mind, logic and our love together as partners. Okay. So let's talk about logic and love and the dance, because for us that's what life is. It's a dance, and you think you got two left feet until you learn how to use them, right? You think that everything is about your logic. I got to be logical about things until you meet love, or you think that everything is just love, 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 but you are lacking the logic. And we want to marry these two, right? So that we learn to dance with love and logic. And so our core insight is going to be centered around how balance isn't an absence of tension, right? Balance is not taking away something. You think that, okay, so if I'm balanced, that means that nothing is going wrong. There's no tension. It's just sunshine, lollipops, and rainbows everywhere. No. Balance is there is still tension. There is still chaos. Yet, I know how to balance these things. It didn't stop. What happened is I started. I started to be more aligned, more empowered, more understanding of what these things actually are and how they affect my life. And now I began to command and control them where I need. Sometimes I might need logic, sometimes I might need love. Okay. So it's not the absence of tension, it is the harmony that is created by those opposites. We hear that opposites attract. It is the opposition that creates that rhythm. Imagine, if you will, you got no problems. Nothing's wrong. Sit back. Then what? This often happens with retirees who have worked their whole life, and we've been told like, I'm going to work this long and then I'm retired and I'm going to do nothing. Don't work. You end up needing something. Okay. So that tension that we have is what we need in our life. We have to understand how to balance that, not get rid of it. Again, we talk about loss a lot. And our acronym for what a loser is to love outreaching set expectations regarding self. And as we outreach those set expectations, we also reward ourselves. So imagine if you got rid of loss. What is the win? Like these things are needed. You have to go through that loss in order to gain a win. You have to fall down in order to get up, or to actually appreciate getting up. Otherwise, you just stay down. The opposition, the opposites, create the harmony, right? They create the harmony. And so, what we want to learn how to do is to be in that harmony and dance. And so, when we're talking about a scale and how a scale balances weight, without the weight, what is it worth? Think about why we even use a scale to begin with. I need to understand what this thing weighs so that I can give it a value. And then I weigh it against something else so I can understand the value. So as a scale balances weight, if there's no weight on that scale, what is it worth? It's just there. So life without the tension has no value. So what you're being sold on, what people are telling you about this bliss, is not the absence of tension. It's not the absence of problems. Those things create the value in your life. So this love and light all the time don't actually exist unless you want to go blind. Being in the dark all the time doesn't actually exist. It's being able to move from one to the other. And we see this every single day in nature. Nature shows us perfect balance. At some point, the sun goes down and the moon comes out. It's dark. And there's certain things that our body naturally does in the dark. And then there's a time where there must be light. And if we understand there's 24 hours in a day, there's equal balance between the two. Yet we also see where there are imbalances. There are places that have a sustained darkness period. It don't go light and day like it does if you're in the northern hemisphere. We have daytime, nighttime, daytime, nighttime. There's some areas that'll go maybe 30 days of just darkness. 30 days just light. How does that affect that area? Imagine if all you were just happy every single day. Or if all there was just sadness every single day. There was only one state that you could be in. What is the value in that? It's all those moments in your life that you went through, the trials and tribulations that offer that seasoning, that flavor, that value to your life. It's not the bank account. You ain't never been through nothing, but you got a big bank account, you ain't got no value for real. Because we see some of the richest people don't have the biggest bank accounts, but what they have is a life of experiences. So as we learn to balance, we properly weigh our experiences. We can properly weigh our experiences to understand and appreciate our life. This is true value. This is just weight. The just weight. So to back this up, our cultural and spiritual anchors. The first one comes from Buddhism, and it speaks about the middle way and how avoiding extremes of indulgence and denial, walking the path of moderation. So you avoid the extremes of indulging ourselves, whatever it is, and denying ourselves. No, 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 I don't want anything. I'm just going to go live in a cave. And we understand that we walk the path of moderation. Indulge, deny. We're flowing. Be like water, my friend. The wise ones avoid extremes. They choose the middle way and thus remain in harmony with the Tao. Lao Tzu. The wise ones avoid extremes. The wise ones avoid extremes. They choose the middle way and remain in harmony. So everybody wants to go over there and everybody else wants to go over there. We just want to walk through the middle. And what's coming to my mind right now is the tightrope between two buildings. The middle path, being in harmony. Did it remove the fact that it's scary and you might fall? No. You're not focused on that anymore. Because being on the extremes, we're there because of the fear, the uncertainty, and the doubt. Yet when you walk that middle path, that's confidence. That's head high, that's chin up, chest out. You are. You're being who you need to be You are living inspired every day forever. You never stop prospering. It requires effort daily. You woke up, you laid down. In Taoism, they say there is the yin and the yang, love and logic as complementary forces, creating wholeness. So the darkness and the light, the good and the bad together create a wholeness, create what we experience. Too much of one or the other creates the imbalances, creates the chaos that we have seen or felt or experienced in our lives. We had too much of one, not enough of the other. A time of peace and prosperity, we have both. You don't have to wait on the world to be in a time of peace for you to be in a time of peace and prosper. It doesn't matter what's going on outside in society. You shouldn't even reflect that. You should be the opposite of that. So if society's in chaos, you should be in peace. We should not be trying to look outside and match ourselves to what's going on. Our life shouldn't reflect that. Just because they are chaotic, they're going to war, they're screaming and shouting, doesn't mean we should be. But this is something that you choose. You can choose to do this or not. We simply want to help identify and understand what may be going on in your life and say, damn, that has been happening to me. Oh, I didn't know that I can go that. You know what? I'm gonna go that way now. Okay. I went that way. I know what it's like. I'm gonna go that way now. This is something that we're prescribing that you gotta do this. And if you don't do it, no, you do not have to live inspired at all. You can live uninspired if you want to. You don't have to find joy. You don't have to, but it's there for you. And when you do find it, when you do choose to live as we have been prescribed to live like you're capable within yourself as your highest self, your life is going to start reflecting different. You're going to start experiencing something different than what you have before. So a Ghanaian proverb says that wisdom is like a boab tree. No one individual can embrace it. If you've seen one of these trees, it's big, big. No one person can wrap their arms around this tree. This is a reminder that balance requires humility and shared perspectives. It's going to take all of us to wrap our arms around this tree. Yet it starts with me first. So the wisdom is something that not one person can embrace by themselves. It's shared among us all. And in scripture, we have two today. The first one comes from Proverbs chapter 11, verse 1. And it says, a false balance is abomination to the Lord, but a just weight is his delight. A false balance is abomination to the Lord, but a just weight is his delight. A false balance is putting on airs, pretending we okay when we really not. I'm good, and you know you ain't. Why do we do that? And I'm asking, why do we do that? Because what we think we're doing to somebody else, we're actually doing to ourselves. So you ask me if I'm okay. I said, I am, knowing deep down inside I'm not. And I'm going to rationalize that. I wasn't, well, I don't want to, but you're hurting yourself. It's decaying the spirit. They say, yeah, you can lie to me, but you can't lie to yourself. This is our struggle. We have been lying to ourselves, thinking that we lying to somebody else, and they'll never know. It don't matter if they know or not. You know. That's why you're going through the problems that you're going through. Because deep down inside, you know that you're not okay. You know that you're being spiritually dishonest. And you're not just masking the pain, you're misrepresenting who you are. You're misrepresenting your energy. You're misrepresenting your light in your life. And so when we deny, you deny that weight to distort the scale. And so imagine you jumped on the scale, but you don't really, you're too fearful to know how much you weigh. So you kind of step off with one foot, or you kind of put a toe on. And then you look at the weight and it's like, oh, look at, you're pleased. But deep down inside, you know that's a lie. You're being dishonest to your spirit. So everybody else may look at the scale and be like, oh, wow. But you know that you're lying. That's what eats away at you internally. This is what impacts your rhythm and your integrity. And it gets harder, 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 and harder. You feel like, oh, the walls is closing in. And after a while, it's going to be hard to live that lie. Or you lie so much, it's hard to look in the mirror because you don't even know who you are. It's hard to live with yourself because you're not yourself. What is the value in living outside of ourselves, trying to be someone else, trying to be who we're not, what we're not? We putting on airs and we pretend it. What is the value in that? You got a dollar amount. Your bank account went up, yet your spiritual account, your energetic account went down. And we see this from time and time again. We have seen people who we've watched it. We on social media, right? We're in the age of social media. So you can see someone's whole life. We have seen child stars grow up and just be like, seems like they're just emotionless, spiritless, devoid of life. They just, and then we talk about what happened to them. But we haven't experienced that. That what happens when we are wanting to pretend, to act, to be something that we're not before we're supposed to be. We're satisfying society. When you talk about selling your soul, you didn't sell it, you just gave it away. Because there is honestly no amount that is worth your soul. So to think about us selling it, don't even say that. Don't even say you sold it. Say you gave it away because you didn't know the value of it. So you said, I don't want to be me because I'm not anything. So I will give up who I am to be somebody else because this is what society says is cool, is right, is the thing to do. And that's, I want to be liked by everybody and not loved by myself. So I want to have a room full of people around me who will cheer me on. But if they're gone, so am I. We would rather have that than to be one within ourselves, to be not a false balance, but a just weight. To know exactly who we are, to love ourselves for that, and to be complete within that, whether I'm in a room full of people or I'm by myself. There's not one of those things where we trick ourselves into saying that we're okay and we don't need anybody. Because the moment that I hear that, especially when I'm talking to some of my clients, it's like the moment I hear that, it's like, wait, Why are you bringing somebody else into this conversation? Because I'm just saying I don't need anybody. That's an acknowledgement that we're still focused on society. We're still focused on the outside because this isn't about nobody else. You didn't come into this world as a baby and was like, I don't need nobody. No, you didn't. You came in by yourself and you was just fine. You was just fine. And until we're able to return to that state where we are just fine by ourselves without needing to say, I don't need anybody, without needing to point out anything else besides ourselves. I don't sit and say, you know what? I went and took myself out to eat because I don't need. No, you just do it. You don't look for other people. You are noticing yourself. You're smiling more and laughing at random things because you're in love with life. You cannot do that until we start to recognize who we are, until we stop being a false balance and we're a just weight. Why misalign ourselves? Whose life is it anyway? It's yours. And so you should want to know who you truly are. You should hold on to that integrity. So this isn't about telling them the truth. It's about not lying to yourself. This is not about them. It's about you. It's about us. If I don't lie to myself, I'm not going to lie to you. And I have no fear of it. Why do I fear telling you the truth? They be like, the truth hurts. So then what does a lie do? If the truth hurts, the lie must feel good then. No, it don't. Because once you found out that that was a lie, now you're trying to explain, well, but it all starts with ourselves. If I'm not willing to lie to myself, I don't even need to lie to you. Before I even lie to you, I'd rather just leave. Like, I'm not even going to be there. What am I lie for? I'm going to tell you the truth. If I tell you this, you're going to get mad. That's the truth. I am letting you know. If I tell you this, you're going to get mad. You'll say, no, I won't. Okay, now listen. If I'm going to tell you the truth, you can't get mad. I mean, you can get mad, but if you get mad at me telling you the truth, that's why I'm not going to tell you. Now you already know. Versus trying to tell you a lie because I'm saying, well, I didn't think you can have. That's not up to me to decide. It's not up to you to decide what another person can or can't handle. It's up to you to give them the weight and see if they can handle it. And if they can't, you can take it off. Oh, my bad. That was too heavy. Okay, let me take that off. Our balance is not neutral, right? This scale. Oftentimes we see the scale, it's like this. Unless you actually see the scales of justice, right? So you got the blindfold on, you know that those scales are tipped. And I was having a conversation with a close friend of mine. We were talking. He was like, everybody think that balance is like this, but when the scale is weighing something, the balance is like this. It was like that's right because you're balancing. It's like hmm, hmm, hmm. If there's nothing on the scale, then it goes to neutral. Balance is not neutral, right? The middle path is not passive. It is in motion. It's active. When you say, "Oh, you about that action?" Then this is what we're talking about. Being active, active discernment, truth in motion. This life is lived through our experiences. And that experience is a just wait. Just you wait and see. Your experience is the just wait. It's not the false balance where you're trying to pretend like it's not there, like everything is okay, like it doesn't weigh that. No, it's admitting and accepting. Okay, this thing, okay, that weighs more than that one. Okay, cool. It's the experience that you have lived through. This is what creates our life for life. For we are here to live, inspire. So the next verse that we have to back up what we're saying in our discussion comes from Colossians chapter 3, verse 15. It says, and let the peace of God rule in your hearts, to the which also ye are called in one body, and be ye thankful. And let the peace of God rule in your hearts, to which also ye are called in one body, and be ye thankful. So we don't like to pick and choose. We bring it exactly how it is in its confusing language, because that's what it's meant to do. I have an issue personally with all these interpretations and reinventions and all these new versions that are trying to make it so you can understand. Again, it is not my job to tell you what you can or cannot handle. When I even think about that, now that I think about it, it's actually like disrespectful. I'm telling you, you can't handle something. How do I know that? And it's not that that person is disrespectful to me. I feel disrespected because I accepted that. I believe that. I let somebody tell me what I could not handle or could not understand. So here we got all these middlemen trying to interpret and tell you what's being said. That's the issue. They want to change the wording, break it down. We don't do that. I don't do that. Okay? Because these things have layered meanings. It goes deeper. So I want you to hear it as it was said. Because God don't need no middleman. He speaks directly to us. So if I say, and let the peace of God rule in your hearts, to the which also ye are called in one body. You probably like, to the which also ye are called. I don't know, that's confusing. And then you just sit with it. And it'll work itself out in a way that you understand. But if I take all of that out, especially that middle part, and I just say, and let the peace of God rule in your hearts, and be ye thankful, it's a total different meaning. This is what I am staunchly against. Like, nope, not doing it over here no more. Because it is not my job to interpret it for you. It's not my job to try and tell you what you're incapable of. It's my job to deliver this to you and then allow you, your discernment, to pick what you need and what you want. And so the perspective that we are giving is to enhance, to uplift, empower, and inspire you to see more than maybe you thought was there before. Because right now we're only viewing through one eye, we're only seeing things one-sided, and that's not balance. So we're providing the balance. So understand that peace is alignment. When we hear rule, it implies governance. Governance, right? The internal compass that discerns. Your internal compass that discerns what belongs and what does not. I am not the person that tells that. Neither are your parents, to be honest. Neither is the government. Neither is the preacher, the pastor, the pope. None of that. They are not the ones that discern what belongs and what does not. That's your life. It is your internal compass that says, no, I want this thing and I don't want that. Okay, they might want that thing and not want this. Perfectly fine. Cool, great. Now you go your separate ways. But to think that we're all trying to be the same thing, we're all trying to tell each other, you shouldn't have that. You shouldn't be doing that. What? If anything, I should say, hey, listen, that thing's hot. Might want to look out. Just like Mama did to me. Say, hey, that's hot. Then I touch it anyway. I told you. Oh, snap. How many times do you think I needed to get burned? Once. Now, if you completely remove that experience at all, you're like, you don't need this in your life. You don't need to know that. I'm going to remove this. When do you find out about that? This is what I believe is happening to us. Things have been removed, or you're being told what you cannot do and should not do, so you don't even experience it. So your life is lacking. You're afraid to experience something that you need to in order to understand what part of that you need and what part of that you need to leave. But without that experience, there's nothing. You're at a scale with nothing on it. Neutral. Just sitting there. Imbalanced. Bored. With no value. Because it's the weight that the scale needs. That's its purpose. Without the weight, what is it a scale? Without understanding the weight in your life, where's the value? You know why you rejoice so much? Because you made it through. If there was nothing to go through, what you doing? What you celebrate? What you happy about? If everybody just handed you everything, you've never had to build, never had to develop, never had to work, never had to fall. You just got everything. What type of life does that create? What did you truly experience? So that internal compass that everybody has is what is going to discern what you need and what you don't need. And we need to allow each individual to use their internal compass. Compasses have to be calibrated, don't they? If you never use your compass, it's never calibrated to what your true north is. It's calibrated to mine. So now you experience my life. And now you say, I don't like this, it's not fair, because it's not for you. It wasn't for you. We all want to be rich and all this. Why? Because we saw somebody who was rich and they had all these things, but you don't know the value of that. That may not even be for you. We see all of this other people's lives on social media and we want to experience it because it looks so good, yet you haven't experienced that. That may not be for you. The loss that I went through may not be for you. Yet knowing that we all have experienced loss, now we can understand what we need to extract from that instead of trying to get rid of loss or avoid loss altogether. You can't. And because of that, you created that imbalance in your life. The balance is created through understanding. I went through this. And what did that do for me? What was my experience because of that? Both the good and the bad. We can't just look at good things and be like, that's a wonder. It's the greatest. And then look at bad things and just throw it away. I don't want to look at it. There's nothing there. There's no value in that. Yes, there is. When weight is just, peace ensues. When balance is false, chaos reigns. So if you understand the just weight, you're balancing that in your life, you will have peace. When you don't want to balance that, when you just want to be false and be like, nah, that's why it's chaotic. Your chaos is reigning because you're choosing the false balance instead of the just weight. Then we hear one body, not uniformity, not one body as everybody trying to act the same, be the same, look the same, talk the same, walk the same. No, harmony. Your experience plus my experience creates harmony. If you experience what I experience, and I thought about this a lot as I became a father, then I had more children. I didn't understand, why should my children experience what I went through? Like, it made no sense to me. Like, I got tired of hearing, see, well, that's just life. You see, that's what happens. It's like, no, why is this happening to me? Why do I gotta fall in the same hole you fell in? Ain't nobody put a sign up. Ain't nobody draw a map. Nobody is guiding anyone to say, hey, 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 watch out for that. No, you're just gonna let them fall in. Like, we're all supposed to fall in the hole and just be like, you in there too, huh? Yup. See this? No, it's not what happened. So I don't want my children to experience my life. I want them to experience their lives. So my job as their father is to show them how to use their compass, their internal compass. It's not to direct them and say, y'all must do this. And if you don't do this, I'm not happy. And man, no. What you doing? What? Oh, snap. That's crazy. One of my kids plays volleyball. I ain't never played volleyball in my life. I play basketball. Now, would I wanted them to play basketball? Of course. Because that's where I felt like, ooh, we can bond. I can show you things. But actually, because the opposite happened, because they chose another sport, I can actually bond and I get to learn. There are similarities in that to what I've experienced. Let me share this with you. And then they teach me something. My oldest is exceptional at nurturing, is exceptional at leadership. I didn't have that when I was her age. So I wouldn't want her going out here doing what everybody else is doing. I'm like, no, no, no. Hey, look, you're a natural born leader. You should be doing this and doing that. Showing them how to mold themselves, how to be themselves, right? How to balance the weight. I'm trying to get rid of all that. You don't need to do that. No, just do this. No. I don't know what you're gonna do. Put that on there. Let's see how much that weight. Whoa, tipped you over. Okay, take that off. Now put that one on there. See what? That's all we're doing. Experiencing life, right? So the one body is not uniformity. I don't want us all to look the same. It's a harmony. The body isn't balanced because it's identical. Yep, we all have a heart. We all have a brain. We all got lungs. But it's not balanced because we all identical because we don't all look alike. It's balanced because it's integrated. Our experience in this life is integrated because we share same organs. We share a similar experience, and our stories allow this integration. Hey, you went through that, and what did you do? I didn't know. Now I took that from you, and we exchanged. The balance through exchange, through experience, through integration. When you're in the gym, right? We all want to be healthy. We all want to lose weight at the beginning of the year. But either way, when you're in the gym, you want your muscles to grow, need resistance. This is what the weights are for, right? Heavy weight resist. Now my muscles grow stronger. Without that weight, without the resistance, where's the growth? Not just in your muscles, but in your life. Okay? Our breath deepens through contraction. Unless we breathe shallow. You want to breathe deeper. See, this is the balance, the in, the out, the resistance, the relaxation. Life becomes life when each experience, each emotion, each truth is weighed and honored. Life becomes life. The old life becomes the new life, living inspired every day forever, when each experience, each emotion, and each truth is weighed and honored. Thank you. Weigh it. Thank you. Each experience, we're not getting rid of stuff. We're not throwing it away. We're not hiding. We're acknowledging. We're admitting. We're accepting. We're understanding ourselves, our life, through our experience. And when ye are called, we are reminded that this is an invitation, not an obligation. Okay? It's an invitation. You're invited, but you ain't got to go. You ain't got to go. And you're like, good, because I don't want to go. Don't go then. I just want you to understand that's why you're going through what you're going through. Because you was invited and you did not want to go. Free will. Free will. You are not forced into balance. Even though, because of our stubbornness, we feel like we're being forced when somebody's just telling us something that we need to hear. You feel like somebody forcing you to do something. You know why? Because you knew you needed to do that anyway. You know you need to do that anyway. You just don't like hearing it. Matter of fact, you don't even like seeing it. When somebody else is balanced and they're peaceful, why is this person so happy all the time? I'm not. Because you want to be like that. You yearn to be like that. You're invited to be like that. You don't have to. We are summoned into it, not forced. Right? You're not forced. Yet because we have free will, we champion that. Like, I got free will. Do you know how to use it though? Do you know when to use your free will? Because a lot of times we use our free will to close ourselves out of things that we need. We use our free will to stay at home when we was invited. We should have went. Sometimes we use our free will to hide when we should be exploring. They say the truth shall set you free. Well, the lies is what sets your feet. So life in action, living inspired every day, forever in action through self-definition. We want to name the imbalances as we move towards contrasting and then leaping forward. So naming the imbalances, weighing the heart and mind, the heart and mind. And I remember when we were deployed in Afghanistan, they would tell us a lot of times, even before we went over there, hey, gents, we're going after the hearts and minds. We're going after the hearts and minds. We're trying to win the hearts and minds. Now we're talking about weighing the heart and the mind. And to do that, we are going to reflect on one area of imbalance in our lives, whether that is work versus rest, causing an imbalance. You're working too much and not resting enough. So then you say, you know what? Screw all this. I'm going to rest too much and not work enough. And you have to find a balance between the two. There is work, then there's rest. It's not to get rid of one or the other, where they say, I don't never get tired. I don't sleep. Good for you. He gonna grind the God. You're gonna burn out. And you don't want to be on the other side. It's like, I'll just rest all the time. I ain't working. Okay, good. You're just gonna sleep your life away. To walk that middle path is to understand there is a time to work and a time to rest, just like nature does. The universe shows us this all the time. There's a season where it's hot, there's a season where it's cold. Sometimes it rains, sometimes it doesn't. There's a time where things grow and a time where things die. It's balance. There's also balance in our life between giving and receiving. At one point in time, I used to just give, and I had nothing left and wasn't receiving. Then there's those who just don't want to give and they swear they're just gonna receive everything. They in their receiving era. They just everything about to come to them. Then there are the wise ones who choose the middle path. They know to give and they know when to receive. We talked about boundaries. That's what those boundaries are. They tell me when to give and when to receive. And we don't go against that. If it's time to give, we're not worried about receiving. And when it's time to receive, we're reflecting on what we gave. That's how this balance works. It says, give and you shall receive. It is never tell us receive and they shall give. No, give and you shall receive. Because that is balance. And if you are giving and you ain't receiving, then you're giving to the wrong people, places, and things. Because anytime we give unto ourselves, we will receive what we need. Give unto God, you receive what you need. Give unto man, you might be waiting, get an IOU, never get nothing back. Now you complain. We must balance logic versus love. And this is where I see the gender flow, which we, oh my God, we misunderstand this so bad. Okay, it's feminine, masculine, not man, women. Okay, we ain't gonna get into that. But the balance is feminine, masculine, not men, women. Just because that's a man doesn't mean he's masculine. Just because that's a woman don't mean she's feminine. And these are energies that we're talking about. And so a lot of times we hear men are too logical, women are loving. And these things are clashing. But in a wise relationship, when you see two loving partners, one has logic, one has love, gives the love to the person with logic, the person with logic gives to the person with love. Now the person with love has logic. Now the person with logic has love. That is harmony. Yet what are we doing? We fighting. Because my logic and your love and no. There's a time for that logic. There's a time for that love. And when you put them together, what that creates is that harmony. Because we have to be logical with our love. And you also have to add love to your logic. Because not everything gonna make sense. I think Rosa's affirming that. But not everything's gonna make sense. And sometimes our feelings, our emotions may betray us. So you want to be able to balance those two things out. And we also want to be able to balance planning and flow. There are some people that say, hey, you gotta have a plan, gotta have a plan, gotta have a plan. Then there's those people like, hey, bro, I just flow with life. Those are extremes. You don't want to be the planner all the time, nor do you want to be just a careless flow, man. You know? You plan and flow. You flow with the plan. They say proper planning prevents poor performance. That is a flow. So we have to understand what that planning is and what the flow is. Because those two things like work and rest, giving and receiving, logic and love, planning and flow are harmonious. They go together. If you're not creating a proper plan, it's going to disrupt your flow. And if you're just flowing wherever, then there's no plan on where you need to go. The ocean is vast, yet land surrounds the ocean and lets it know where to flow. We ever looked at a map and understood that there are different bodies of water? There's the Pacific Ocean, there's the Atlantic Ocean, there's the Indian Ocean. What separates these things? Why doesn't the Indian Ocean flow into the Pacific, or does it? Why doesn't the river, the plan is the shore? So there's nothing that doesn't have a plan in the universe, in the world. There's nothing that doesn't have a flow in the universe, in the world. The plan is the boundary that allows you to flow. Without those boundaries, you're just flowing everywhere, giving to everything. Being too logical or too loving, working too hard and not resting, or resting too much and not working. The boundaries that we establish is the plan that allows us to flow. Our thoughts, when we put them down and we write them down, we create the plan that allows the thoughts to flow and create in our life. And that requires us to work and to rest. We have to give to those and then we receive from those. We have to be logical on what we want to do and then we have to provide and put love into it. These things go together. They're not one without the other. You're not going to be working, giving, logically planning, resting, receiving, loving, and flowing. You're going to work and rest so that you can give and receive, so that you have the logic to love, and that you can plan so your life can flow the way that it needs to flow. Your journey, your experiences, your expressions. So to do this, to continue to do this every day, we want to name one area where we feel torn. Right? This is for you. Right? Name that one area where you feel torn between your heart and mind. A decision, maybe it's a decision you're trying to make and you feel torn, like my mind's telling me no. Maybe it's a relationship where your heart is like, oh, I really love this person, but your mind is like, hey, get the hell up out of here. Or maybe it's just your day to day where you're just trying to figure out, like, all right, look, maybe I'm thinking too much in the day, and I just want to start being able to just be, allow my day to be, to create that daily rhythm, right? So we want to name one area where you're torn between your heart and your mind. And we're just going to ask 3 questions. We're going to ask, what does love say? In that moment, okay, you're going to ask these 3. Whenever you're torn between the heart and mind, you're going to say, what does love say? Don't listen. Write it down. What does logic say? You're going to listen. Write that down. What does wisdom say? You're going to listen. Write that down. And when you reflect and you see what love says, what logic says, what wisdom says, one thing you're going to be able to identify right away is which one you support. You might look at what love says and be like, ugh, never. You might look at what logic says and be like, yeah, see, I mess with that. Wisdom, you might be like, wrong, what? That's stupid. No judgment. You just are looking and identifying where we are. But then after you define where you are, you want to listen to those other things. Okay. If you looked at love and said, oh, that's stupid, sit with that. Why is it stupid? Why did you feel that way? Why are your emotions reacting that way? To love, to logic, to wisdom. Why is it like, man, get out of here with that? Why are you accepting? What parts of you are accepting? You didn't recognize how deep you really are because you're playing in the shallow end. And that's okay. I want you to know it's okay to swim out a little deeper. You are very, 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 very deep. So stop with the, it ain't that deep, bro. It actually is. It is that deep. It can be that deep if you want to go that deep. And if you don't, then that's okay. Live in the shallow end. But don't say it's not that deep. Because then you realize, actually, it is that deep. We just choose to play in the shallow end. I would rather admit that than put on that fake balance, right? And be like, the false balance and be like, man, I could swim. This actually, story time, it actually happened to me when I was a kid. Okay. We had a water park. Nice ass water park. I remember this like just at this water park they had like I want to say it was like 75 feet in the air. I don't know. It was high up in the air, excuse me. And the slide went down into this big ass bowl. And you just went around the bowl, and the bowl dropped into a pool. Like I think it was like 9 feet. And you swam out of the pool, got out. Right. And I saw how much fun everybody was having on that, and I wanted to do that thing. But I couldn't swim. I couldn't swim like that. So what I decided to do is like, yeah, I can't go in there, but I can go on this diving board, right? And I'm about to. I don't want to be left behind. I so don't want to be made fun of, or I want people to think I'm cool. So I'm going to have a false balance and pretend like I can do something that I can't. I'm good. I can swim. So this was my whole plan. I'm going to jump off this diving board as close to the edge as possible. I even envisioned myself jumping off the diving board and landing on the concrete. Like, damn, he jumped over the pool. This was what was in my mind. So I said, all right, jumped off that fucking diving board exactly like I said. Jumped as close as I could get to that edge. So once I came out that water, I went 1, 2, and I was reaching for the edge and I got out. Just to hear that whistle. Lifeguard, come here. Hey, you can't jump towards the da-da-da-da-da-da. He already knew. If you can't swim, I'm like, bro, what? You trying to? You mad because I'm styling on you? Like, it was one of those moments where it's like I was being false. And I chose to lie. I couldn't swim. I could have just been honest and be like, I couldn't swim, and then just stayed in the shallow end. But no, I wanted to jump off the deep end and try to kill my food self. Why? It's not listening to what the wisdom said. Was not going deep enough in myself because it was there. It was like, no, don't do this. Don't do that. I'm like, no, I am. I'm gonna do this because I want to impress people. I don't want to be scared of it. It was like none of that happened. They was like, boy, we saw you jump way over there. And it was like, damn, I should have just stayed out. So if we want to be in the shallow end, just stay in the shallow end. Right? But it really is that deep. You're deeper than you're giving yourself credit for. And I simply want us to go deeper within ourselves so we can pull out who we really are. Then you ain't gonna jump off no damn diving board into water that you know you can't swim in. What is wrong with you? And so this recentering, this naming the imbalance allows us to recenter, and it prepares us for the balance of becoming ourselves, to embody that presence in the present. We are who we knew we were. They are who we thought they were. And so now to contrast that, right? Talking about the imbalance trap or the dangers being lopsided. The dangers of lopsidedness. The barriers to our balance. Things that may block or inhibit our balance. Number one, something that we are like best friends with. Overthinking. The overthinking is going to lean itself to paralysis. You've heard this term paralysis of analysis, right? You're overthinking, so now you just analyzing everything and you never stop. Now you just have paralysis, you're just analyzing. Because I'm overthinking because it might be that, but it could be that, and it also could be this. But what if it was that? And then it could, and it just never stops. And that's going to lead to burnout. You just, I'm tired. Oh my God, I'm exhausted. I can't even think anymore. Right. You're overthinking leads to paralysis. You can't make a decision and then you're burnt out. Or we're overfeeling. Our emotions, we wear them on our sleeves a lot of times. And so now we may be impulsive, doing things off of impulse. And then we're exhausted. We're chasing. Always impulsive. I want this thing. And I want that thing. Oh, no, I want that thing. Oh, no. I'm tired. I'm exhausted. Can't keep doing this anymore. We're wanting to be perfect, right? We want to look perfect in this era of social media. And that's constant lopsidedness. Wanting to be Practicing or perfectionism, performing, is always going to have us lopsided. Because what is this image, this idea of perfection that we're after? Is the perfection is the balance, which means you fail, you got up. You laugh, you cry. Your logic, your love. It is the balance. It's not trying to pretend like nothing goes wrong in your life. It's not trying to pretend like everything is okay. It's not putting on the airs. That's false balance. You always lopsided, crooked. So when we think of somebody who is crooked, maybe look at them closely. And maybe we'll understand why they're lopsided. And we can start seeing like, oh, so now we can understand why these things are happening and what is actually happening instead of just labeling and then leaving. So you just say, that's bad, and then you walk away. Well, what's bad? What are you talking about? Understand that more and be like, oh wow, I see why that's happening. Because if it keeps doing this, then that's going to be the result. So we can actually change that. But when you just give up and you just label it and say, well, that's bad, or you don't need that, you just walk away. There is no experience. There is no value. And because there is no value, you just throw it away. This is why we can just get rid of stuff. There's no value to you. No value to you. Who cares? Just get rid of those people. They don't matter. What do they provide? Just get rid of that thing. It doesn't matter. We're tearing up the earth, getting rid of actual plants and seeds, saying they ain't got no value. We can create this in a lab. Don't worry, it's going to be the same. No, it ain't. So our destruction of ourselves and everything else comes because we lack understanding of true value. We ain't weighing no experience. You ain't been through nothing. So how you gonna even know the importance of that? The reason why we strive as a child, the reason why I strive so hard in my life right now is because of what I experienced coming up. And I didn't want my children to experience that. I didn't want my children opening the refrigerator door and all they got is milk in there, some baking soda. So now they talking about how they starved, and bro, every generation shouldn't be going through that. I actually wanted my children to experience something that I experienced. I didn't experience having things when I grew up as a child. I didn't experience living in a home. I didn't experience birthday celebrations. I didn't experience thinking that I was rich when I wasn't. So for my children to start experiencing that was like, okay, boom. That's different. Now it's our job to put the parameters in place so they can understand that. But if I didn't have anything and now my children have something, that's a win. That's a step up. If I didn't have anything and now they don't have anything, that's not balance. Their experience of having something, my experience of having nothing, created that integration, created more understanding for me. It showed me what I actually need personally for me in my life, what I actually want them to experience in their life. So it's not, oh no, y'all just gonna have just uber abundance. I'm gonna just give you everything and spoil you. No. There was a time with that, and I said, wait a minute, look at what's happening. Remember what you learned because you didn't have. What did that teach you? Oh, creative. Using my imagination. These things are important, yet it's also important to have tools so you can express that imagination. So this is where we parry the logic and the love together. Logically, I don't want them to experience what I did, but I loved my upbringing and what things that it taught me, brought my family together. We had certain experiences. That's what I want to give to them. That's the love. Yet logically, I'm telling you, you ain't going to experience this life. And don't act like you just poor and you ain't got nothing. Be a just weight. Don't be a false balance. Don't try to fit in and try to live like somebody else. No, let them know I didn't come up from that. This is where I grew up. This is how I was raised. We don't all need to be from the hood. We don't all need to have a story of struggle, the same story of struggle that we all started to know. We don't. We don't. You can still have struggle in your life. You're still going to have tension in your life. You ain't got to try to make your story be out the worst. That's something that I used to try to do. I was ashamed that I didn't. Certain things didn't happen to me. Like for real. It was like, why? Why would I? What? After a while, I got older. I was like, why would I be bragging about that? Like it was a point where it was like, man, I ain't been to prison, but dang, I should be ashamed of that because everybody I know, hell no, that ain't my experience. I'll tell you right now, I ain't been there. Nope. But I've experienced other things. So why would I want to share in that same experience? We're not here to be just like each other. So the symptoms of our imbalance. We're talking about burnout, overworking with no soul nourishment. You're just working all the time, then you come home and you just fall down, go to sleep, watch TV. Your soul needs something too. This is where the reading, the walking, exercising, uh, meditation, this is where that comes in to give your soul something. Your body needs something. Your mind needs something, not just your pocketbook. And no amount of money is going to allow you to buy things for your soul, for your spirit. Money doesn't provide for that. And so we shouldn't be overworking with no soul nourishment. We're talking about being indecisive, this overthinking. That is showing where our heart and our mind is in conflict. Pause. Peace be still. Your heart and your mind is in conflict. You should not keep going. You got to stop. Imagine if you were in the middle of two people arguing. Do you want them to keep going? No, because now they're just over talking each other and it just never stops. You're going to say, hey, stop. Okay, listen. I'm going to mediate this thing. What are you saying and what are you saying? To create understanding, to break that up. So be the mediator between your heart and your mind to stop the indecision. If you don't stop it, now you're just paralyzed. Now you're just sitting there like, I don't know what to do. And then be the mediator. And then another symptom of imbalance is being resentful, that resentment. You resenting because you're giving from an empty cup. You ain't have much to give, so you gave your last and you kept complaining about that. I gave this person my last and why did you? Well, because I thought that's the issue then. Why are you giving your last, especially if you're going to complain about it? You gave your last so you can hold it over their head and say, I gave you my last. And I did it, and this is what I did. No. That's imbalance. Set your boundary. I'm not giving my last. Because if I give my last, I'm not going to have nothing. Then all of a sudden, I'm going to be spinning out of control and I'm going to hurt somebody. So my last is for me. Now, if I have extra, I will give that to you. The resentment is coming from inside because we knew better. How many times you said it, man, something told me not to do. Find out what that something that told you was. Start listening. Because something been telling you and you ain't been listening. And the life antidote that we'll end off this contrast with is that balance is not perfection. Balance is not perfection. If you actually seen somebody balancing on tightrope, they doing this. Oh, snap. They not just no, it's not perfection. It is peace. Balance is peace. Because every small correction back to center is an act of love. So why not love life? Why not love living inspired every day forever? being at peace. Okay. So now, actually, the anchor, before I jump on to the next one, before we take the leap, let me step back. The anchor that I want to tie all that into is coming from Sufi wisdom. And it says that wisdom and love are two things or two wings of the same bird. Wisdom and love are two wings of the same bird. That bird had only one wing. So you have wisdom and love and wisdom, not just one or the other. You want to fly, right? Okay, so now let's take the leap. Right, this is where we introduce our leap protocol, where we locate, engage, anchor, and propel forward. Right, and this time we are leaping into balance through integration. We want to integrate these things in our life so that they create more balance in our life. So the first, locate. You want to locate by understanding where, completing this statement. I feel out of balance when blank. I feel out of balance when I'm tired and I didn't get it. I worked too much and didn't rest. When I'm over giving to the wrong places. Whatever it is for you. And then we listen. Right? We integrate this by listening to where extremes pull you off center. You're going to listen. I feel out of balance when, and you listen. Huh. It's telling you where those extremes pulling. Now you got to trust into that. Don't go overthinking. Oh, no, it's not that. Oh, it's not that. Listen. Okay. Then we want to engage. To engage, we're going to say, this imbalance is teaching me to blank. We're going to integrate that by inviting both love and logic to the table. This is where we're going to say, well, what does love say? What does logic say? This imbalance is teaching me to, okay, guard my heart more. Think before I speak. Whatever it is for you. And then we want to anchor down. Okay. We want to put our hands on our hearts and our head where our mind is. And I say, I anchor in harmony. I know that look crazy, right? And we okay with that. This is our life. Whose life is it anyway? I don't care if I'm looking crazy. I might just hold this here for the rest of the time. Now, I anchor in harmony. Then we want to verify with a balanced choice. No extremes. You want to give to both. You want to just go off the deep end. Okay? You want to verify to integrate this with a balanced choice. No extremes. And lastly, we are going to propel by stating, today I walk in balance by, and then you're going to say how you walk in balance today. And we integrate that through expression. And that expression is going to be our experience in life, our aligned action. So we propel, today I walk in balance by, and then we express that. We do that. That is now our experience. Expression creates the experience. And a lot of times we hear expression, we think, oh, this is what I'm saying a lot of times. Expression is as much what you do as it is what you say. So we say, today I walk in balance, and then you express that by doing it. And when you begin to do it, you will create another experience for your life. This ain't just hearsay. So now as we close this out, we're going to close out with our Q&A and then our weekly challenge. So the 3 questions that I have for us this Wednesday. Number 1, uno, y. Where do you notice extreme showing up most in your life right now? Where do you notice extreme showing up most in your life right now? Number 2, uno, dos, y, r. Which is harder for you? Leading with logic or leading with love? And why? Which one is harder for you? Is it harder for you to lead with logic, be logical, or is it harder for you to lead with love because I'm heartless? And why? Number 3, uno, dos, tres, y son. What is one balanced choice you can make before this week ends? And also, you can take that and say, what is one balanced choice you can make before this month ends? You can even take that and say, what is one balanced choice I can make before this day ends? Because we're not just going to wait. We can change today, which means we can change the week, which means we can change the month, which means we can change the year. So you get it. And so in closing, our challenge is to journal one decision this week. One decision where you practice balance. Just one. Okay. And then I challenge you to share that experience. Share it with somebody close to you. Friend, family member, husband, wife, brother, sister, son, daughter, someone close to you. Or if you don't have nobody close to you and you want to tap in with us, share with us. DM us, let us know. We'll reach back to you. Comment under our posts. We'll reach back out to you. We share as well. Right? This is the community. And so share your experience with somebody. Journal it for yourself and then pick and share. Okay? And then notice how balance has shifted your energy. Take notice. Notice how your energy has now shifted as you have become more balanced in that moment, in that day, in that week, in that month. Okay. So as we close out, our life covenant is I release the tyranny of either or. And I embrace the wisdom of and. So it's not either or, it's logic and love. Giving and receiving. Working and resting. Not either or. Both. My cake and I'm going to eat it too. Cake and ice cream. All right. And so I want to close out with a quote. Okay. This quote comes from right here. It says, you are not here to choose between your heart and your head. You are here to let them dance so your soul can lead. So you're not here to choose between what's in my heart and what's in my head. I'm here to let them dance and my soul will lead. My heart says this, my mind says that, and my soul leads the way. May I have this dance. So in closing, remind you that balance is not found, it is built. And every choice that we make in alignment builds the path that we walk on. So it's not something that we find. We ain't gonna find it out there. We're gonna build it. If you build it, they will come.